In today's video, we're going to take a dive into the November 2024 housing market update for Cedar City, Utah and St. George, Utah to give you an idea of what is going on with our housing market in these two areas. My name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group. If you are looking to buy or sell here in Southern Utah, I would love to help you out with that. Please feel free to call, text, or email anytime. That contact information is down below in the description. All right, let's jump into this housing market update. Now, in case this is your first housing market update with me for Cedar City and St. George, I like to do this in a slide format so that you can see the graphs and give you a visual of these two locations. Cedar City and St. George are both located in Southern Utah. The two areas are quite different, even though they are only 45 minutes apart. They are both considered deserts. However, Cedar City is a high desert, so it has 4 mild seasons, where St. George is a little bit lower desert, so it is mostly hot in the summertime and then has a very nice mild winter. You can wear a light jacket in St. George. Population is also very different. Cedar City is roughly around 40,000 as far as the population goes, where St. George is up over 100,000 in population. That does not include their outlying cities or suburbs that surround them, so they will actually look a little bit larger than those numbers entail. Now we're going to take a look at the median sales price first. I have put it on here over the last 10 years. We've got 2024 here to the right and then all the way back to 2015 to the left. Now, before I fully jump into this, I want you to be aware that this takes in data for the month of October year over year. I can't pull that data until the end of October though, so we call this the November housing market update because this is the most current information on our housing market and we are in the month of November in 2024. Now you can see in both of these markets year over year for the last 10 years, they have consistently appreciated in their median sales price with the exception of St. George. St. George dipped from 2022 to 2023 quite a bit actually. However, they did recover this last year and they are actually back up over where they were in 2022. They're actually a little bit higher than they were in 2022. We were around 520,000 for a median sales price in St. George in 2022. We went down to about 462,000 and now we are back up to around $532,000. So we have seen that recovery there. Now, although Cedar City didn't see the depreciation that St. George saw last year, it has had a very slight appreciation over the last 2 years. You can see from 2022 to 2024 about the same increase as far as the median sales price as St. George had. For example, we were right around 390,000 for a median sales price in Cedar City back in 2022, whereas in 2024 we're right around 400,000, so about a $10,000 difference. So we are still seeing appreciation in these two markets with the exception of where St. George was back in 2022, which has already recovered. Now, even though we're not diving into each of these other years, I like to use it for reference to give you that visual. We will come back to this slide as we discuss other things in our market trends to help us understand really where our market is and where it could potentially be going. Now, this is actually our month-to-month sales over the last year. I bring this up so that you can see, even though we have seen Cedar City's median sales price decline from September to October, it is pretty consistent throughout the year. You'll see it go up, you'll see it go down. It really is dependent on that time of year and the market. Same thing with St. George. You're not going to see a steady increase throughout the year, even though our median sales price is steadily going up year over year. When we take a look at it from month to month, it actually looks a little volatile. In reality, the housing market will always be seasonal, so we will see that adjust and fluctuate on a week-to-week basis and a month-to-month basis. We really want to look at it year over year to help us understand what that housing market is doing. So I did put September 2023 in here and October 23 from last year so that you can get a picture of this. Last year, from September to October in Cedar City, we actually appreciated for the median sales price. This year, from September to October, it shows that median sales price going down. However, for St. George, September to October, we saw that median sales price go down. September to October, we see that median sales price go down. So that one looks about the same. Cedar City's did not, and we had quite a large increase in appreciation from August to September. So I think that's a little bit of an indicator, but we'll take a look at some other data to help us really understand what's happening in Cedar City's housing market. Now, we always want to look at the absorption rate because this is a really great indicator of what is happening in our housing markets. The absorption rate is really our monthly supply of housing. So if we take a look at the left-hand side here, this is our months, and then down at the bottom, this is going to be our years. So for example, 5-month, 4-month, 3-month. When we are looking at the monthly supply of housing, we know a balanced market is right around 5 to 7 months of inventory. Anything above that 7 months is really considered a buyer's market. Anything below that 7 months is really considered a seller's market. This is an indication of where we've sat nationally since 1999, just to give you an idea of when we've gone into buyer's markets, when we've gone into seller's markets, and when we've been pretty balanced. So here's where we are for Cedar and St. George. We'll take a look at St. George first in green. Currently, St. George is sitting right around a 4.7 month supply in inventory. So what this means is it would take about 4.7 months for the current inventory to be bought up if nothing else changed in the markets, meaning no other homes were added to the market. Now, with that definition in mind, you can see that St. George hasn't had this kind of inventory in the market since back between 2015 and 2016. Right about in the middle of those, we started to see their housing supply go down starting in 2016. Same thing with Cedar City. We're sitting at about a 4.2 month supply, which we haven't been to since between 2016, 2017. So you can see that both of these markets are really starting to get a lot more inventory back into them. Now, with that being said, and taking a look at our graph here to show you where it's a buyer's market, where it's a seller's market, we're still technically down here in a seller's market, but I'll be honest, it's a very balanced market here right now. Even though we haven't quite hit that 5 to 7 months, we're really pretty close to it. So it's a very balanced market. Sellers have negotiating power, buyers have negotiating power. What it's really going to come down to is the days on market. And what I mean by that is if you're a seller, you've listed your home's been on the market for 10 days, and the median days on market in Cedar City is close to 50 days, and you get an offer in on your home that's way below that list price or what you're looking for, chances are you're not willing to negotiate yet because you know most homes are sitting on the market for around 50 days in Cedar City right now, or around 28 days in St. George. So at that point, you as the seller, you have the negotiating power there because somebody's wanting to buy your home. It hasn't been listed on the market that long. So chances are you're going to get pretty close to your asking price if you have priced it right. Now, with you as a buyer, if you go in, you see the home hasn't been listed that long, you're putting in an offer, you want to take that into account as well. If it has not been on the market that long, you probably want to make sure there aren't any other offers in or see what the interest has been on the home before you decide to make that offer so you come in competitively. Now, let's say that your home's been on the market, but it's much higher than what this median days on market is. Then at that point, you're starting to lose some negotiating power. You're going to really want to consider the offer the buyer is bringing in and weigh those pros and cons to see what you're willing to negotiate. Same thing for you as a buyer. If the house has been sitting on the market for quite a while, you probably want to figure out why it's been sitting on the market so long. So you will have some negotiating power there. Now, keep in mind, if you are a seller, it is very important that you choose a list price that will bring in traffic and create offers. If you try and list too high just to see what you're going to get, it's not the market to do that right now. It is going to sit for a while. You can see that because we have inventory, meaning buyers have other options. So gone are the days where you can list it and see what you can get and see what comes in. Ultimately, you're going to end up hurting yourself in the long run. What I mean by that is the longer it sits on the market, the more a buyer is going to wonder what is wrong with this property. You also don't want to list your home too low. You really want to pay attention to the data and the information that your real estate agent is giving you. Take their advice. They're doing this every day, and ensure that you list your home at a price point that's going to benefit you in the long run and bring you the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Now, as far as this median days on market goes, this is the median, meaning half of the homes are sitting on the market longer than this, half of the homes are sitting on the market less than this. So I want you to keep that in mind. If you have a home that's on the higher price point, chances are it is going to sit on the market longer than what the median days are in either of these two cities because it has a smaller buying pool and not as many people looking for that home. So when your agent is actually pulling the comps on those, make sure that they are pulling comps that that truly match what your home is and get a good indication of how long those homes are sitting on the market before you decide to list your home. Now, visually, you can see that our days on market have definitely gone up in Cedar City from where they have been over the last 10 years, pretty comparable again to where they were in 2016, 2017. St. George went up in 2023 when we saw that median sales price go down. However, those days on market are back down in 2024, which correlates with that median sales price in St. George and how we saw that go up in 2024. So you can really see how our days on market impacts that median sales price. Now, I want to dive into each of these markets separately as we take a look at the new active pending and sold listings to give us a more full picture. We've got new in blue, active in red, pending in purple, and sold in green. For the most part, our new listings in Cedar City look pretty similar to 2023. Pending sales down slightly from 23 to 24. However, closed sales up slightly from 23 to 24. What's quite a bit different though is our active listings. Our active listings are about 65 more than they were in 2023. Now, what this means is it's taking homes longer to sell. We saw that they're sitting on the market longer. And so those active listings roll over to the next month. So although our new listings to the market are pretty comparable, because they're taking longer to sell, that's what's bringing up our monthly supply of housing. Now, if we take a look at that to our median sales price, very, very little appreciation here, maybe $1,500 in that median sales price. And of course, that has to do with our monthly supply of housing, more potential homes on the market for buyers to choose from, more negotiating power. So it's not causing that home price to go up significantly. And that's really what we've been looking for things to stabilize so that both buyers and sellers can walk away feeling like they got a good deal and that they both have that negotiating power. Now, as far as St. George goes, pretty similar as well. We have our new listings sitting about the same. We have our pending listings that actually went up from last year, where our closed listings went down a little bit from last year. But for the most part, these stats are really holding about the same. Again, it's those active listings that went up from 23 to 24, which brought our monthly supply of inventory up from 23 to 24. Again, I put this graph on here so that you can see how it compares over the last 10 years. You can see very comparable as far as our active listings go to between 2015 and 2016. Now, the reason that I bring that up is you can see in St. George, we still had appreciation from 2015 to 2016. Same thing with Cedar City. And we still had appreciation from 2016 to 2017, 2016 to 2017. It's not the crazy appreciation that we saw from 2019 to 2020 or from 2020 to 2021. However, the markets were still appreciating when that monthly supply of housing was very comparable to what it is now. So when we ask ourselves the question, where are home prices headed? We have to take a look at that data and compare it to times when it looked pretty similar. Now, we're in an unprecedented time right now. We have a lot of crazy things going on. It's a year of a presidential election. We just finished that up, and that always slows sales down prior to that presidential election. However, if you take a look at this slide, existing home prices went up after 7 of the last 8 presidential elections. The only time that sales price went down was in 2008, 2009. So we had that presidential election in 2008, and then that sales price went down slightly in 2009. We all know what was happening that year. That was the great housing bubble. However, after all of them, even after the last several, that sales price has gone up. So when you look at the data, it's pretty comparable to what it was in 2015, 2016. We still saw that sales price go up from 2016 to 2017. Of course, none of us know exactly what's going to happen. We don't have that crystal ball. However, the data looks very similar to then. We are coming in after a presidential election. The stats show that home prices will likely continue to appreciate. Now, that also has a lot to do with where mortgage interest rates are headed. If you're somebody that needs a loan on a home and you can't come in and pay cash, this really affects your buying power and if you plan on buying a home right now. If you're selling your home, you know a lot of buyers out there in the market rely on getting a loan in order to secure that home for them. So it's important to understand where those mortgage interest rates are headed. Now, although the federal funds rate does not directly affect the mortgage interest rates, it does affect it indirectly, and a lot of that has to do with our inflation rate as well as our unemployment rate. You can kind of see from this graph where the inflation rate has been since January 2020. It went up quite a bit, and that's when we saw those mortgage interest rates increase. As of the end of September, because this is always a month behind, our inflation rate is still at 2.7. The Federal Reserve really likes to see a target of 2%, so it's still above where they want to see this be. However, you can see it's considerably lower than where it was of March of 22 when it was really high and they started actually hiring those rates. Now, the unemployment rate, though, if we take a look back to where March of 2022 was when they started raising those mortgage interest rates, it's actually still above that. So things are still pretty volatile as far as the inflation rate goes and as far as the unemployment rate goes. So it's important to note those as we consider where those mortgage interest rates might be heading. Now, in recent weeks, we've seen the mortgage interest rate actually go up. However, if you take a look at it back from October 2023, so in the last year, they're actually trending downwards. Again, like everything else from month to month in our housing market, those rates are volatile and we will see them fluctuate up and down, especially as we've been coming into this presidential election. What we want to look at is the full trend of that. So even with that being said, we still have a lot of well-known sources predicting that those mortgage interest rates will continue to trend down over the next year and be towards the low sixes, maybe even the high fives. The actual line is this dark one in orange here, with Fannie Mae, MBA, Wells Fargo, and the National Association of Realtors pretty much projecting a similar trend downward. Again, we're just going to have to watch it because, as we know, the unemployment rate, the inflation rate, all of that affects it. We'll see how it looks as we come into the new year, and we will keep watching these trends every month. All right, I know I breezed through that pretty quickly. I try not to hold you here too long, but I really want to make sure that you understand the data and how this affects the housing market to help you make the best and most informed decision for you. The right time to buy or sell is when it's the right time for you and your family. Look at the data, look at the trends, make an informed decision when you're ready. My name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group, and I really would love to help you out with that. Please feel free to reach out anytime. I promise you I will respond. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.